Mr. Esposito, do you have a preference on which you would consider serving on?
Give me that again.
There's a personnel subcommittee and a budget subcommittee. So personnel essentially screens the applicants prior to the full commission reviewing it, looking at the documentation.
Well, I think probably budget is better for me.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Okay.
No.
So, Steve, would you consider working on budget
Sure.
as well? Okay.
Whatever you like me to do.
So,
Personnel.
personnel for Dr. Freed and Dr. D'Souza. So the next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from June 11th. There were only 2 people that could
That's okay.
vote on that.
Yes, when we have a new commission, just whoever was in attendance at that meeting can say if they accept the
So
minutes.
Steve and I think we were the only ones that can vote on that.
Yep.
Right. So I make a motion to accept the minutes from June 11th.
I guess I can't technically
Say that
second
you
it,
accept that you
but I
accept.
have no issue with that.
Thank you.
Any corrections? Okay.
Thank you.
So, moving on to public comments, is there anyone from the public that wishes to be heard for the Board of Police Commissioners?
They're here for traffic.
Okay, that's the second part of the meeting. Financial report.
Financial report in regards to last last fiscal year's budget. The town hall is working on closing out and auditing our last fiscal year. We finished out, as far as I know, within budget as anticipated, and we estimate that will come out under budget for the last fiscal year. Steve, you had, at last meeting in June, you had requested that our unused funds from the past fiscal year be returned to the town's general fund, any
Right.
extra monies there. And I discussed that with the finance director, and he said that's the long-standing common practice. That's it's been with all the departments. Any remaining funds go directly back into the town's general fund. So we're good with that. And he pointed out that the police department has never gone over budget yet, so that's a good thing. They're always returning some.
That's not gone over budget?
No, it's not. And in all the departments always return money, and depending on the circumstances of each year for each department, the amount varies. Some years it's a little bit more, some years a
So
little.
we did not go over budget, you said? Even with the overtime?
Last year, no, well, that was something that was covered by contingency, so it was an unanticipated event.
Great.
And as for the new fiscal year, so we're obviously into the second month of the new fiscal year, and we seem to be right on track at just under 17%. And at this point, most of the expenditures that we've had are strictly contractually related stipends and mandatory optional operational requirements, such as the annual dues, contracts, renewals, and encumbrances and running purchase orders that we traditionally do every year during this time. So, any specific questions about any specific lines?
Anyone have any questions?
The labor negotiation that
Mhm.
we've spent 100% on was for our recent, was that follow-up recent hires or something?
No,
Was
that's
that-
the annual fee that the town
Do we pay up
pays
front?
They pay it up front,
Got it.
yes, yeah.
Chief, they just upped his own rating at 32%?
To
Dispatch.
dispatch overtime?
Yeah.
Yes, and that's because we've been down one dispatcher vacancy for a while now. We had a resignation, I'll get to that a little bit later in the meeting. And also we've had one dispatcher that had a loss of a family member, so he's been out on extended absence and funeral leave, yes. So we kind of down 2 dispatchers for a while. The one on funeral leave recently returned, and the one vacancy remains with the resignation that we had. We're getting ready to move forward to that.
Steve, do you have any questions?
No, not at this.
Okay.
The You said the dispatch?
I'm sorry.
We're down dispatch?
We're down one.
I know one resigned, right?
Correct.
And one is out for
One
personal reasons?
just returned this week, but that dispatcher has been out for a few weeks. For reason.
We also have a lot of overtime at the investigative unit.
We did, but that's what's that, like 30%, 30.5%. Yes, but the thing you have to realize with that is that is just from that one line, it looks like a lot of this is just that 30%, but that line was just meant to offset the overtime line, our overtime line. That line is not just to cover all the ISU expenses for the whole fiscal year. It was never intended for that. So that's why that's at that.
So overtime for the entire department shows up in the investigative unit?
No, it shows up under officer overtime.
Right.
And above that.
Okay.
And then this is a supplement to that. That's how that line started. It's not just strictly for not strictly just for all for investigation. We take out of that, but that amount of money that will never cover the full amount for a year of ISU.
So you're saying that we understate that?
I'm sorry,
We understate that? Is that what you're saying in our budget?
under budgeted?
We understate the number in our budget, or I'm just,
I'm just saying it was never intended. It used to be $5,000 and it always goes over. It was to supplement the overtime budget. It's just another line. I actually talked to Tony last year about maybe just putting it all into one lump sum, because it's kind of deceiving. Every year we go through this and we feel that we're going over, but that money isn't just strictly for that. That was to offset initially started as an offset to the,
So then that-
somebody in statewide narcotics, that was all, that income that was coming in, that stipend was stopped. So that used to go into the overtime budget for that, so this was to offset all that. And then it kind of took off a life of its own, that it was all strictly for overtime, for ISU.
this maybe going forward, there's a different way to look at that. Maybe next year's budget, so that it doesn't, say maybe we can somehow come up with a different way of analyzing those numbers, because it does look,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, I know, and we
you're
had
gonna be
gone through this for the last
over
couple
budget
years, and that's
in like
what
the
happens.
fourth month, right?
Right.
So that's
Right.
for the fifth month. So maybe there's a better way of looking at that, if it's kind of a joint number. Or one augments the other.
But even with that, it's close to $30,000 if you total them all up. If you take all the line items, overtime, and total them all up,
Mhm.
so it's close to 30,000.
Right. The ISU overtime, the only way I can explain it is those are the calls, they had a couple sexual assaults, or burglary, things that come in after hours. So they have to get called in for them. There's the only way we can handle this. But
How many
some
people
of
get,
this-
in a situation like that, how many people get called in? I know we have 3 investigative officers,
For
right?
sexual assault, 2 guys would come in. Usually it's just one for something else, but in this case, it was a sexual assault. That's going to require interviews, so those have to be done in pairs. So in those cases, but usually only one. Not, obviously not everyone, but
Well, as always, we'll start the year with my normal diatribe about overtime.
yeah.
Which it's a drain on your, I don't know. Okay, so, listen, I've said it for,
Yeah, but the overtime is directly related to staffing levels too, isn't it?
Correct.
well, that's, to a certain degree, right? But aren't we in full staff with the officers?
No,
We're down one.
we still have one vacancy.
Steve, do you think part of it is the language, if it could be more clearly spelled out, all this? I think part of it is we go through it every year because we have to be reminded what it really means. So if there could be more details on the line items?
Yeah, I think going forward, we can probably clarify things better.
Is there a motion to approve the financial report?
So moved.
Or second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Anyone against?
On the activity side, there's 4 burglaries over this summer. I guess I'll go back to July and August, remove the meetings that we have. We had a residential burglary on July 5th over on Woodfield Road. That one, the suspect was located, but it ended up being an ex-spousal family type situation, no prosecution being declined. We had a residential burglary on July 14th on Cappiello Road. That was a weekend burglary during the day, forcible entry. Bedroom was ransacked. They were awaiting some results from hopefully some forensic examination of some evidence that was seized from the scene. Another residential burglary on July 23rd on Rimmon Road. It was an unlocked, non-forcible burglary of a residence during the day. And I guess he was working with the area towns, and they developed a suspect and have since recovered some of the property that was taken, and simply submitting an arrest warrant affidavit for that. And we had a commercial burglary at one of the local establishments on Litchfield Turnpike near Lucy Street there. In the overnight hours, a window was broken in a secluded alleyway, and cash was stolen from the register on that. And several larcenies over the summer. A few of the notable ones, a counterfeit check at one of the local banks, and the suspect was identified, and actually the warrant was prepared and it's served, and the arrest was made on that the beginning of this month. Had a larceny and shoplifting at one of the local stores down there on Route 69. And the suspect was located and arrested for that, and was at the same time was wanted on a warrant from out of Norwalk, I believe. The theft of some lawn equipment from a trailer on Amity Road. This was August 2nd. Stolen check from the Amity Road office building on August 19th. That suspect has been identified, and the arrest warrant was submitted and has been signed, just pending the arrest. And on the 31st, we had a theft of from one of the local businesses on Lucy Street, a theft of a large quantity of meat from the outside storage refrigeration units. And working with New Haven PD, they located a stolen vehicle and recovered that, and we're looking to identify the suspects involved. And, we had 2 sexual assaults that came in on during the month of July. And actually 2 sexual assaults, 3 different victims. So that's something that the Detective Bureau is working on in conjunction with the State's Attorney's Office. We had a stolen car stolen ATV out of a yard on August 7th from the Walker Lane area. And on the 25th of August, a stolen pickup truck was recovered down at the end of Crestview Drive, abandoned in the woods. And an untimely death at a residence, and we're awaiting toxicology reports from the medical examiner. We had a forensic hit on some DNA evidence seized that was sent to the lab that was seized at the scene of a burglary back last October. I mean, a larceny from last October, and that arrest warrant was submitted to court. And they had 81 requests for public fingerprinting that were fulfilled during the last 2 months. Let's see, we have an ongoing federal case trial that's getting ready to get started now too. It's a kidnapping robbery, and that's going over to on the federal side. So we should have some updates on that in the near future. I believe jury selection is slated for the 16th. And that's about it for the activity.
Do you expect us to incur overtime for the testimony in that case?
Possibly. There's been a little bit for case preparation because some of that's all at the discretion of the U.S. Attorney's Office, and some of that's done on kind of off hours and under schedule. So there may be some of that, but we'll see how that plays out with the, how that plays out, where we end up going with. I'll keep you advised. Obviously, we'll try to limit it, but
Right.
if it's, if it's necessary, then there won't be anything like the initial investigation, but there will be some case preparation, and depending on where this case leads us, maybe additional investigation.
How does that financial agreement work when an officer is, at the time of the offense, working in a different department? Wasn't Officer Masterpiece part of that?
He was.
When he was on the task force?
He was assigned to the task force in Dayton for like the last close to 15 years. And when we started working with the FBI and the homicide, and led us to this other case, Officer Master Peacher, by the time he just happened to get hired here, but he was thoroughly entrenched in the investigation on the federal side. And he has all the clearances, federal clearances, to continue to participate with that. So he's currently participating with them right now in the case preparation. And if we didn't do that, we'd have to get everybody else cleared. It would have to be somebody from our department that's involved, and we're just fortunate that he's already involved before we hire him. So,
Are we entitled to financial reimbursement for the time that he's not with us?
no, because he's not assigned down there to them. He's assigned to us. He's just working on our case right now.
Okay.
So just for a few weeks, he's been down there for a few weeks now, when they asked for him to come back to prepare for that case. But once that's over, he'll come back. And
Are there any other questions?
No.
No. Is there a motion to approve the activity report for July and August of 2019?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Chief, your report?
just an update on the Amity IT project. The Amity has started its project to provide the town with a solid foundation of IT infrastructure. And the initial programs were broken into two phases. And the first phase of the project is to upgrade the town hall with all new servers. And that phase pretty much began back in June. We met with the Amity's director of IT last week, and he said all the fiber has been run, and the town hall servers are on order, and they're awaiting their delivery. So once they're delivered and installed, then they'll move on to phase 2, which is the police department. And at that point, the plan is to upgrade the police department with all new servers. So we're hopefully anticipating that gets done sooner than later. But that's the plan with that. An update on the radio system, the simulcast radio system townwide. A lot of progress has been made with that over the last year, especially over the last several months. 2 new consoles have been installed here at the PD, and at least one over at the fire department at this point that I know of. All the tower sites are up and running and functioning. All our radio equipment has been moved from in the storage room that we had here at the PD into the back shelter that was erected outside at the base of the tower. Back on June 16th, after our last meeting, Norcom cut us over from the old equipment, cut over to the new equipment, and that transition went really well with no issues, no significant issues. And then at the end of July, we participated in performance tests of the system for several days. It involved some representatives from the police department, the fire department, Norcom, and Motorola themselves. And all that appeared to go very well. We seemed to get good coverage. Even we actually tried in some of the schools and some buildings where we weren't getting good coverage before. And just on the analog side, the way we are now, the coverage had improved in there as well. And the plan is that we'll be converting over shortly to the digital, which will even further enhance that. So we're good to go. There's a radio committee meeting slated, I believe, for next week that we have. And overall, the progress is the project is progressing successfully and getting closer to conclusion.
Can I should know this. It means that there'll be radio broadcasts if there's emergencies and things like that? What
Well,
is
there will be.
this?
This is just the regular police radios, fire radios,
Yeah.
town hall, public works radios. Our radio system are mobile radios and portable radios.
I see, so
Oh,
not
okay.
necessarily in the schools to inform the whole school of some
No, that's
weather
not
disaster.
considered. But our reception out with our radios within the schools and other large buildings
better.
throughout town will be
Got it.
enhanced by this. Update on union negotiations. We remain in ongoing contract negotiations with both the police officers union as well as the dispatchers union. Both of their contracts expired at the end of June. Our last meeting was on August 20th, and it looks like we have tentative agreements were reached with both unions. However, it's all pending ratification at that time, so we'll keep you advised as where we're going with that. But that's moving forward. Just a quick update on our new firearms. Where we are with that, all the firearms and the associated equipment, the lights, holsters, everything's been delivered. The guns are here. They've all been test fired and we're ready to go. And beginning this Thursday and throughout the rest of the month, we have several training days scheduled at the range. So by the end of the month, we should be completely transitioned over and qualified on the new firearms. So that's really good. On July 30th, the police department sponsored the Senior Center annual indoor picnic, something we've been doing for many years now. We had a number of volunteers from the police department who stepped up to help with the grilling and the serving. The weather was good. The center got a really good turnout, and it seemed to be appreciated, as always, by all the seniors that attended. And I just want to thank all of our personnel that assisted in making the successful event, and I'm sure we'll be back over there. Looking forward to it again next year to do that. And the last thing we have was scheduling software. So over the past year or so, we've been looking into purchasing a software package to assist with scheduling. And the software program that a lot of the other departments around us, police departments, are using are from a company named VCS Capital Management. And their program not only assists with scheduling, but it tracks and generates reports accounting for overtime, extra duty, vacation time, sick time, and the like. It's used in police departments like Ansonia, Clinton, Orange, Greenwich, Stratford. They've been using it for years, and they highly recommend it. They're happy with it. We've seen it and visited it, and seen it in operation at those different police departments. I talked over with the finance director in the past, and most recently again, of our desire to do that. And he has a desire also to go paperless with eventually, hopefully, to go paperless with the townwide with the payroll timesheets. So that's a goal of his. And this software has a payroll export module that's optional if the town later decides that they want to do the same. So that would all be incorporated with that. So the finance director stated that he's in agreement with us moving forward with the purchase of it. We would be using asset forfeiture funds, so it's really no other cost to the town on that. The cost for it is approximately $6,381. So he's okay with it, but we just need the board's approval to allow the use of the asset forfeiture funding for that.
How much is in that account? Do we know?
We are well in excess of that.
Is there a running tab? Do you guys?
Yeah, there's a running total.
I mean, you don't need to give it to me now, but
Yeah,
it's in
there's
excess,
a running total, and that's where we took the money most recently
Right.
for some the long guns and the LPR that we just purchased.
Right.
So,
You want
There's
more than that for that?
There's sufficient money for that.
Okay.
Chief, what is the advantage of having this program as opposed to how we've been doing this for some time?
It just brings us kind of, the way we do it now is kind of pencil and paper. We can just be more efficient, more accurate, more time more time efficient. It's just, the way we're doing it now is kind of old fashioned, the record keeping, even if we need to generate reports for overtime or extra duty or anything, it pretty much would be at the click of a button instead of Janice trying to do a lot of stuff on Excel and just plotting it all out. Which Sergeant Rizzuti is probably more familiar with it, the most familiar with it. He did a lot of the research on it and visited a lot of the other departments. Anything you could add to that, Richard?
It's just going to streamline the whole process. Everything we do now is done almost in triplicate, if not even more. Any changes that we have to make to the schedule, the paper trail, it can just be staggering, and it really comprises the bulk of what I do all day. And this is, I guess it's like the equivalent of having a smartphone instead of a rotary phone. It's, we need to modernize without a doubt.
What will all the free time enable you and others to do?
I'm sure you'll find a way to fill that with something.
So it's not just the schedule, it's also the accumulation data.
It's everything, yeah. It's vacation time. It's keeping track of everything.
So you've been doing that manually
Everything is done manually, yeah.
before this?
Oh, yeah.
That's the only one that's
On Excel
historically
or
everything.
something.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know, I don't think of Excel as manual, actually. I'm not a great Excel person, but I guess I'm confused because Excel has a lot of power, from what I understand. You can manipulate and have it do things, but it doesn't work. Or I'm not quite following what this does that Excel doesn't do.
It creates the schedule for it. So instead of me having to type in, to look at our list of employees and type in where they go each day, what shift they're on, it generates the schedule. So in other words, if somebody wants to take a vacation day, I just have to, with a click of a button, I can just put them on a vacation day. It records their time, takes it away from their bank, as opposed to now, the paper trail, it can be a bit staggering that I have to approve a piece of paper. The shift supervisor on their shift has to look at it. Are there enough people working? The system will automatically generate all the things that we need to do to
And
account for.
everybody's computer will show it to them, so that's the,
Oh, yeah, everyone will have the option to look at their schedule on their smartphone as opposed to having to do things literally on pen and paper. Everything I do in Excel, yeah, I mean, it's efficient maybe for the 1990s, it would be, but
Right.
in today's terms, it's archaic.
all right. we have to-
So-
So it's going to free up a lot more time for you?
Of course. Minus that learning curve, of course.
Mine is lower.
as you said, I'm sure we'll find something else for you.
Yes, next month meeting.
Yes. So you want this in the form of a motion? Or,
Yeah, just a motion that you agree with the use of the asset forfeiture.
so is there a motion to approve the asset forfeiture funds to pay for this program,
Yeah.
6,000?
Yes.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Second. No discussion? All those in favor? Okay, unanimous.
Thank you.
That's it for my
Thank you, Sergeant.
report there.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the report of the chief?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Chief, this is a consolidated report for July's business also.
Yes.
All those in favor? Unanimous? Personnel, 2 items.
Yeah. First item is a request to carry over vacation. I have 2 requests to carry over vacation days. The first one is from Officer Richard Monaco, who's in the Detective Bureau. Toward right before the end of his, as he neared his completion date or his anniversary date to use his vacation, he got involved with 2 active and ongoing sexual assault investigations that came in at that time, and at the same time, he's involved as a witness in this trial that's coming to be, and he has had a lot of case preparation with the U.S. Attorney's Office. So because of that, he had 4.5 days of vacation day that he was unable to use, and just let him to allow him to carry it over beyond his anniversary date, which was August 31st anyway. So that's where we're at. We had a meeting. So that was the first one. Do you want me to give you the second one, or should vote on both of them at the same time? The second one was for Administrative Assistant Janessa Senzi. Due to her job responsibilities, workloads, scheduling conflicts. She was unable to use all of her allotted vacation days prior to her anniversary date, which is coming up. And because of that, and her always willingness to modify and change her schedule at the last minute to accommodate myself and accommodate the department and our needs, she has 10 days of unused vacation time that she'd like to carry over, and I request your approval for both of those.
Did we vote on these in the past separately, or did we do it together? And there's more than one.
We've done it both ways, whatever way you want to do it.
Is there a motion to approve the vacation time requested by both employees?
So moved.
For a second? Is there any discussion? Steve, is there anything you wanted to?
No.
Okay. All those in favor? Unanimous.
Aye.
Thank you.
Use it well. You would?
And
Final item is the budget.
Oh, just one more comment, another question.
Oh, sorry, dispatch.
Dispatch vacancy. So on July 17th, one of our dispatchers, dispatcher Janine Ingersoll, resigned from her position. So with that leaves us with a vacancy that the chairman and I have discussed back in the beginning of July. In accordance with ASME and the current bargaining union agreement, the job was posted internally for 10 days, as it has to be done by contract, and there were no interested applicants from within town for that job. And after that, it was posted on outside the department, and the closing date was September 6th, and we got a total of 43 different applicants for that position. So we're hoping to get started and start looking through those and sort through that, and in the future, we'll be reaching out to the budget subcommittee, the personnel subcommittee to go over some of those with us that we think might be viable candidates. And that's all for personnel.
Final item is budget.
Budget, so I'm not sure if everyone's aware, but the town created a budget task force to get an overall look at the budget process and the budget and as we move into the future for this upcoming year and beyond. And the task force consists of 2 members of the Board of Selectmen, 2 members of the Board of Finance. And they're meeting with many of the different department heads to take a deep look at the budget and then to present a report to the Board of Selectmen this fall. Some of the things that the budget task force is tasked with looking into is the right sizing services provided by the town, eliminating the duplication of services, looking for opportunities to consolidate functions, identify programs that are underutilized by town residents, and identifying revenue opportunities and initiatives related to the business district. Myself and the deputy chief met with the task force back on August 27th, and some of the items that we discussed included police department staffing and operations, IT, vehicles, dispatch, and our school resource officer positions. So we'll keep you advised, where we go with that, and follow up meetings that we probably will have with the task force. Go from there.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn the,
Just
please?
one thing.
I'm sorry.
And it goes back to finance, if possible. I know we always seem to miss a meeting in the summer. The final tabulation on the end of the year fiscal budget with our in-budget report, is it possible just to get that printed out for the next meeting? I'd just like to take a quick peek at it. If that's not if it's not inconvenient. Motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. Welcome to the Woodbridge Traffic Authority. Thank you for your patience. Is there any member of the public that wishes to be heard? You can just state your name.
Joan Deacus.
Okay. You have the floor.
Thank you.
You can come up to this chair, please.
Okay, thanks. Okay. I live at 923 Baldwin Road, and I'm a lifelong resident of Woodbridge, so I've seen quite a bit. My house is only 15 feet from the road. House on my right is 15 feet, to the left is 15 feet. Another house, 2 houses away, is 18 feet. So we're a little cluster of pretty scared people. And now, I must say, I'm one of these people who periodically calls the police. I mean, I haven't called in a while, but this past July, I couldn't take it anymore. I figured that some guy passed a car right in front of my house. I happened to be looking out the window at that moment, and he was speeding past a car right in front, and I'm thinking, oh boy, this reminds me of what happened several years ago. My neighbor had a car that almost went through her house, which if it hadn't been for hitting her pine tree, which still has a huge scar on it, it would have clipped the edge of her house and then come crashing into mine. And then a few years after that, there was a fella who went up the embankment. I don't know how well you know Baldwin Road, but he went up the embankment across the street from my house. And if he, by some chance, had come the other way, he would have definitely gone right into our porch. So I'm a little concerned. But, you know, I mean, the kids are back in school, have other concerns as well. I love Baldwin Road. It's officially designated as a scenic road. And I just hate to see all this happen because it's quite dangerous, I think. And as you know, people today, I'm preaching to the choir here, people are very distracted when they drive. Very distracted. I can't tell you how many people I see every day going by the house on their phones, or they're doing this while they're driving. You know. Anyway, some things I just wanted to give you is it's just a point of comparison. What's led me to some suggestions I would like you to hear at the end. As you know, the major throughways of Woodbridge, you've got Litchfield Turnpike, and Center Road, Rimmon, Racebrook, so forth. They are uniformly wide. They're mostly straightaways. Most buildings have good frontage, good sight lines. The speed limit is 40, although I understand, I've seen at Litchfield and Amity, I guess, as they get closer to Bethany, they increase to 45. They can handle the speed and driver distractions way better than Baldwin can. And Baldwin is a major highway. I've never done a traffic study to get a head count, but it's got to be at least a couple thousand cars a day. I'm hoping that maybe one of the results of this meeting tonight will be that an official traffic study is done. I believe the last one that I was familiar with was done years ago, and at the time, the average speed on that road was 43 miles an hour. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that, but the official speed limit is 35, which is only 5 miles an hour less than Litchfield Turnpike, Amity, Rimmon. And there's a world of difference. Some things, for example, it's much narrower. You've probably driven on it. Very little straightaway. It has curves, dips, embankments, and I'm sure for those people living near those curves, dips, and embankments, it's kind of tricky getting out of their driveway. I did make a list of all the people on Baldwin Road, I have their house numbers, who live right next to a dip, so that when they come out of their driveway, they've got to make a run for it because they never know if somebody coming over that hill is speeding or not. They blind, you probably know or don't know, there are 2 roads that come off of Baldwin. There's Laurel Road, which is a dead end, and then there's Old Farm Road, which is also a dead end. Laurel Road is extremely treacherous. The house on that corner is, I think, less than 15 feet from the road, and there's a huge embankment when the house sits on it, and you really can't see when a car is coming, going north. you've got to just kind of pray you can either hear it, or if it's nighttime, you luck out and you see the headlights. I have no idea how many accidents have been there. I only hear things, see what's near my house. And there are other homes which are very close to the road, as I pointed out before. Some are at the other end of Baldwin Road going towards Derby Avenue. They have, in fact, one house there that they couldn't sell it for over 2 years because it's on a curve. It's number 869, and it's totally blind. I don't know why they ever built the house there. Anyway, the thing is, the Litchfield, I noticed something, on Litchfield Turnpike, it's right in the area of the flats, their speed limit there is only 35 miles an hour. And it's a wide road, as you know, and it, excuse me, has a straightaway. The houses are somewhat close to the road, I guess, compared to some of the other roads in this town. But the point is, it's 35 miles an hour. They've got some advantages, with the wide road and the straightaway. Yet Baldwin Road is 35, the whole length of it. Whether you're going on a curve or on a slope or anything, it doesn't matter. It's all 35. So, I guess most people on our road have been pretty lucky so far. I consider myself lucky that cars haven't gone through the house. But I'm very fearful of it, because the way the world is today. People tend to ignore the speed limit. In fact, I hate to say this, but I heard it a long time ago from a Woodbridge police officer who said, you have a speed limit, but generally speaking, police officers don't really get interested until it hits 15 miles an hour over the limit. I was shocked to hear that. I know that's hearsay, I realize that, but that's what I was told. And I just see with my own eyes, the cars just go by fast. So I have some suggestions. I hope, I don't know if this is the forum tonight to hear your suggestions, but first thing I would like to request is a traffic study. And I would like to be kept informed of what the results are of that, find out how many cars there are, but mostly it's the speed. Does that do time? Does that take, time of day?
Yes.
Okay, good, because I know there's certain times of day that are just
Recommend.
horrific.
Do you have specific times in mind right now?
The
Just
morning,
tell us what you know.
the morning is the heaviest, and I'm an early riser. I'm up at 5, and by 5:15, those are the ones that really go fast, because they know there's nobody around to stop them. And it's the same people every day. In the summer it's daylight at 5 o'clock. I see who they are. I'm 15 feet from the road. I know who they are. I'm sorry I'm getting a little aggravated, but it is aggravating.
So sort of
today.
5 to 8 a.m. or 5
Yeah.
to something like that?
Yeah, it really doesn't stop until 8:45, but the bulk of it, you could catch the real good ones at 5:15 in the morning, 5:30. I would like to see the traffic trailer, I think that's what it's called, traffic trailer.
Speed trailer.
Speed trailer, thank you. Speed trailer on Baldwin Road more frequently. At least psychologically, for the newcomers, it works, because I know the first couple of days, because the trailer was right near our house, and when people would go by and they'd see the red and blue lights flash, you could see their lights go on immediately. And then they were pretty good for a few days. And I must say, the officers were wonderful. I saw them ticketing some people, just from a little area that I could view. I saw great police presence, and I noticed that the speed did die down a little bit. But I must say, the speed's gone back up again, so I don't know. It's back to normal. Back to normal. So to me, the key here would be regularly scheduled presence. Word, I think eventually is going to get out that you don't speed in Woodbridge. That's my thing, and I'd like Baldwin Road to be a priority, because we're working with disadvantages here. And I don't want to see anybody getting hurt. We've been very lucky so far. I would also, this is probably a state issue, but I'd like to see the speed limit lowered. I'd love 25, but that's, I guess, unrealistic. That's more, I guess, for some of the side streets and the flats, but 30. I don't understand why we are not 30 miles an hour. I never did. And we've always been 35. And then, this is my big Christmas wish. Speed tables on Baldwin Road. Wow.
You
Just
think
a nice,
there's room?
Huh?
They take up some room.
Yeah, they do. Now,
Think
here's
there's
the
room?
problem I'm having. You know, you gotta worry about drainage. There's the narrow road. It is a scenic road. Will they delete us from the scenic road designation because of this? Because it's a state thing, I believe, and you have to follow certain protocol. If you want a speed table, you gotta have certain signage. You gotta have certain drainage. You gotta have this, you gotta have that. I don't know. But I'll tell you something. I really do believe, Chief, that if police department makes a really serious priority effort, I think word will get out and we won't even need speed tables. Because I'm gonna tell you something, I know a lot of people who are Orange, and I've told this to a couple of officers already. I know a lot of people in Orange, I drive there a lot, and the residents there know that you don't speed in Orange. I wonder why. You know, and that's what I want for Baldwin Road. I really do. I'd hate to see somebody get hurt or killed. I'm surprised they haven't been yet, actually. And I also don't want a car landing on my kitchen table.
So that's are you completed? Are those
Yeah.
the 4 things you're
Yeah.
interested in?
Yeah. Speed tables are on my
Well, you make a
Christmas.
compelling argument. I think we'll be talking about the
I hope
traffic
so.
study. And I don't know if we talk about that now or later, but
I mean, we could, I know we spoke on the phone.
Yes, thank you.
We had the speed show out there for, I think,
2 months.
probably more than we had it anywhere else for
Yeah, it was
for
probably a
two
month,
weeks, one
5
direction, and
weeks.
then we moved that 2 weeks
The traffic
in
study
the
wouldn't
oncoming
really have,
direction, but I guess the long and short of it is, before we move forward, we probably should gather some accurate data.
yeah.
did you already have the trailer out there?
Yes, yeah, we had it out from,
Almost the whole month of July and then some.
yeah, we had it out from
So you must have the
July
data
2nd
from
to
that.
the 12th. And the-
Can you
and-
tell us any data from it? It doesn't
No.
No,
record?
that doesn't
No.
record, it just
It
promotes.
just flashes it.
Flashes, red and blue lights.
Oh. Talk about
We have-
upgrading technology, people.
Do we have the
We
ability?
have the ability to do that, and it would track the times and clock it all,
Yeah.
Oh, really?
and yeah, so we could, if the
Actually,
board would like, we'll
Yeah.
certainly do that.
Yes.
Okay.
And then get
Yes.
back, follow up with
So,
you,
and
and follow up with the board.
I mean, so we can do that. We can also, we have 2 officers on the road, right? But we have 2 cars on the road every shift, minimum, right? So maybe
Yeah, we.
between 5 and 6 if they're,
Yeah, so we've.
if they don't have any
we've
other
actually did that,
obligations, they
and I've addressed with the supervisor, especially for the midnight shift, your concern with that. And I know you saw them out there, because we talked about the
Yeah, but I mean,
cruise lights being on. but-
I give them compliments too. There was one day right in front of my house, caught somebody, and I called the office here and I said, thank you.
Yeah, no, we
That
spoke,
was
we
good,
spoke a couple
because
times, so we're.
A dear friend of mine, sorry,
so we're not going to, I mean, the traffic study is not something that we don't really have any control over, right? Chief, isn't that a state issue? That's a state road, right?
No, it's
Is that a
it's a
town
power,
road?
do you mean the traffic, the
The
speed
traffic,
limit?
I
Speed
mean,
limit.
The speed limit.
the speed limit, changing the speed limit. We don't have the ability to do that.
No, well,
Right.
we'd have to gather the data first.
And the tables, I think, are something, we need to have much more data,
Yes.
Yeah.
right?
yeah, I mean,
And the
that's more
tables are
involved.
something that,
So why
Yeah.
don't we start with the
Easy,
gathering the
good
data and
stuff.
get a baseline of
Maybe
where we're at,
yeah,
and
yeah.
maybe look at the accident history in the past
Right,
and
right,
Yeah.
the related facts that
Right,
go along
right.
with that, and then we'll
right. But I
Maybe
put
love
this together and
tickets.
move forward with
we
something.
would have more visibility, we have more visibility up there, that might help you
It
also,
is.
right?
And I'm telling you, I've seen it so many times, the more people see police on the road, that's where they get the idea, oh, I gotta be serious here.
Okay.
And I'll tell you one thing, and one more thing, I'll shut up. I used to be a teacher, so I talk up. A dear friend told me a long time ago, he said, the quickest way to win education is through your wallet. Give them a ticket. Let it hurt the points on their license. They will then listen, and they'll tell all their friends. I just know it. I mean,
All right, we'll work on it.
I'm sorry, thank you again for your time.
Thank you,
I
Joe.
Thank you
appreciate
for
it.
telling
your
us.
comments.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Excited.
coming.
This is how we learn.
Is it okay if I say this?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Public.
Is there anyone else from the public that wishes to be heard?
Hi,
Hi.
how are you?
Good. Just come up and state your name.
Mrs. Catherine Pignataro, I live at 1230 Johnson Road, Woodbridge. And it's really funny because I pulled out some old information from 1985 when I made a request from Russell Stoddard to do some investigating. I live at the corner of a very bad intersection. And you probably know, because I think that there's been some traffic studies there before. It's where the new blinking light has been
Yeah.
put on Johnson and Grimmin. Since that light has been put in, there's been 3 or 4 accidents, really bad accidents there. And I don't think that light is doing any good, really, the way that it was set up as a blinking yellow and a blinking red. And there's a sign that also has lights on it that says, "I'm coming, traffic doesn't stop," or something like that, okay. And those lights I've seen they're not always on, okay. I don't know if there was an electrical problem or something like that, but they're not always working. So that was one of my concerns. The other is the corner of Johnson and Pease Road where I live. When you're walking, I'm a walker, you're supposed to walk facing traffic, okay? That is such a dangerous corner that people don't stop there. And now they're doing road work. They've ripped up the road there so that they have 2 signs that say bump on one corner and then on the other. But I walk my dog and I can't walk on that corner because I'm really afraid I'm going to be hit by a car because they do not stop. They don't even slow down. They just like cruise right through that corner. And I don't want to see a fatality there. Very, very dangerous. And the times that I have marked that are the most dangerous are in the morning when people are traveling because it's a cut through to New Haven to Fountain Street. People are in a hurry and they want to get to work. And where Jeremy Gardens, I don't know if you're familiar with that corner right there as well. I can't walk there either because the cars come so quickly around that corner. That is very treacherous. And the times most concern me are in the morning between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. and then at 2 o'clock when Amity High School gets out and the kids are coming out of school. Also at dinner time when people are coming home from work, that also is a shortcut to Center Road and to Raymond Road and New Haven. What really brought me here was that my husband and I in the summer, in August, were going out for pizza down to Modern, and we're crossing Johnson Road where Ansonia Road is. I don't know if anybody knows where that intersection is. It's a 4-way stop there. And I said to my husband, this car was coming up from Fountain Street. I said, "Frank, don't go. This car isn't going to stop." This car was full of teenagers and it blew that intersection, not stopping at all, going like 50 miles per hour. I mean, we were petrified. I mean, it would have definitely been a fatality if my husband didn't stop. It was just crazy. So I came in and I spoke to Sergeant Bloom about the incident, and I told him that the foliage on that road has blocked a stop ahead sign, okay, so that people could see. So I brought on my computer that we took a picture of what that sign looks like, and this was back early in August, and I know there's a lot on your plate. I know that you're really busy in town, but not even that this would help to take the foliage down. I think there needs to be a blinking light there too, so people know to stop there. But I just wanted to show you. Can I pass
Yes,
this around
please.
so that you can see this? This right here is this sign right here. Okay, see how you can't see it? And this was at dusk, okay? During the daytime, you can see it better. Let me just get it up a little bit. see it better. But at dusk, you see the difference? This is at dusk, when we were traveling, right here. Can't hardly see it, and that's at daytime.
Yeah.
This is daytime, this is at dusk.
There.
Isn't that really
Yeah,
scary?
it's pretty scary. It's pretty scary. Can I show you?
Sure, of course.
Okay, this is at dusk, see how the foliage is
Where is
all,
this?
right, this is at Ansonia and Johnson, a little bit before you have a sign that warns you, here's the intersection right
Can't see the
here.
sign.
Very hard to see it. This is at daytime, you
Okay.
could see it better, but at nighttime, when we were traveling, you couldn't see it at all. So I just wanted to share with you. See it right here? This is daytime,
Yeah.
big difference.
It's overgrown.
It needs to be taken
Chief, what's
care
the
of. I mean,
appropriate
it's
protocol
just-
to ask Public Works to,
Where's this?
Yeah, that's a
This
state
place.
road, but we'll,
See how hard it
we'll
is to
call
see it?
tomorrow.
That's
We've had
coming from,
few different complaints
like
about
Fountain
the
Street up to,
and
the
Johnson Road,
Johnson
over
Road,
state.
right?
And,
Johnson Road.
Yeah.
Here's that
We
daytime.
reached
You
out
can
just
see
last week, and Warren Commerce and
Huge
Public
difference.
Works also did, and we gave them 2 calls, and
So Chief, is that something we can ask the Public Works to possibly,
we'll make
Just
it,
make more visible
it's a
to the-
state DOT, but we'll make a call for that.
Yes.
I mean, that's kind of an easy fix, right, for that?
And do we need to gather more data about the speeding, like in the 6 to 8 a.m., 6 to 9 a.m. thing?
I have a area that a police cruiser could sit in, like at the end of our road. I mean, there's like a little area that would be perfect for a cruiser to sit right there, and they have my permission to do that. We have a bus stop at the corner of Johnson and Pease there, where the woman that has her kids getting on a bus called and said, I don't want my child's bus stop to be there. It's crazy. It's crazy that anybody would think that that's a safe place to put children in the morning with the kind of traffic.
Do
I
we ever
think
have-
though, what the norm is, that's the same on every road.
What's that?
The way people drive today, whether it's Ansonia, Pease, Beecher. I live on Woodside Drive, which is they come up our street, it's the same. It's people today
That was a hurry.
are in a hurry, and between the phones and between texting, it's whether I'm on 15 going to the office in the morning, whether I'm on Beecher Road going home, drive around Woodbridge. I mean, coming here tonight, just to come here tonight, pulling out of Beecher Road to get on Center Road, I think it took me 5 minutes to get out onto Center, and there wasn't one car that didn't pass me that was going the speed limit.
So given it is pretty universal, like you say, it's
Universal,
on all
it's
our
all
roads,
over the
but
place.
we have a specific complaint, so do we have enough police power to spend a morning or an hour or so, to look into these things? Like we've agreed to do it on Baldwin, it sounds, we can't do it everywhere, but when
No,
we've
it's
had a particular complaint, it seems relevant to me if we have the people power to gather data.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
we'll get somebody over there,
Yeah.
we'll, why don't we start with that, with some
Yeah.
So,
visibility,
I have
added
one,
visibility.
I have one more suggestion, okay? That there was a van, a state van, prisoner van, carrying prisoners, and it was T-boned at Johnson and Rimmon. And they had 2 fire trucks blocking Beecher Road, because I work at Beecher Road, and Johnson Road over on the other side between Pease and Johnson, and I couldn't get home. And I said, why can't I get to my street? Well, turns out that they were worried whether or not prisoners had actually escaped from the van. I mean, because that's a state road, I'm wondering why can't you ask for state resources to monitor those state roads, especially when we had a prisoner van tip over and we're wondering whether or not prisoners are loose on Rimmon Road with the elementary school around the corner. I was like flabbergasted
Is
when I
that a
heard that.
request we can make for some state?
If we needed additional resources, I'm sure they would have called from, that was a while ago, right?
Oh, you know what, Chief? It was a while ago,
Yeah.
but there's been several incidences of accidents at that corner.
Well, there's been a lot of accidents at that corner, and the board knows, there's been, over the years, and for many years, there's been a lot of traffic studies back probably to Chief Phipps and probably before that, traffic studies with the state that has, the board has asked, the traffic authority has asked them to do. And most recently, since I've been chief, we requested it again through the board. I think that was like, 16, 17. And they did another traffic study, and their findings were pretty much the same, but because of the terrain and all, they're not going to, they flat out told us in the last one, they're not going to make it a four-way stop because there's visibility coming eastbound on that hill. If traffic backs up, somebody's going to hit them from behind. There's a whole bunch of criteria that they put into that it wasn't feasible for them to make it a four-way intersection, but they did. They instituted this new system, that the warning system that they have there with the video cameras they put up. And probably you don't see those lights flashing all the time because they only flash when there's a vehicle in the intersection.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's the first one in the state, and they thought, the state engineers, that this would be the best solution that they'd be able to do. So this is the first one in the state of Connecticut, from what I was told. And it's activated, but it only activates by the cameras, and so the lights only flash when there's a vehicle in the intersection. And so far, in so many feet either way on Johnson Road too.
Well, when you put the trailer by B'nai Jacob, the speed trailer, to slow people down before approaching that intersection.
I was just there last week or so.
Right, okay. B'nai Jacob is too far away because what happens is that they cruise over the hill and they're picked up speed and they're already doing 50 miles an hour by the time they reach that intersection. They are. And I was almost hit on Beach Runs and Center Road the other night myself.
So it sounds like we can put an officer in maybe around the area you suggested, and gather some more data.
Well, it's definitely at my
learn.
intersection of 1230 and the Peace and Johnson, because
Yeah.
it's very dangerous.
So the 6 to 8 a.m., the 2 p.m.
And dinner time.
and dinner.
Some of those are on
Okay,
time.
6 p.m.
Yeah, 6 to 7.
Really?
So
Work on it.
thank you. I know that you guys work really hard.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of spots to cover.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
It's like painting the Brooklyn Bridge. You're always working on it. You're always
Yeah.
cruising around, seeing
Really.
trouble.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the 4 traffic miles.
First was a DOT project. This is from back in July, but just to make you aware. DOT is doing a project of modifying the intersection at its Baldwin Road at Route 34. And back on July 8th, Baldwin was closed at the intersection by Greenway there where it goes into 34. They put detour signs, detour the traffic down Greenway Road. The long and short of it is that I was out that way just a few days ago, and it looks like it's almost nearing completion. So that should be open shortly. Just an update, this is just an informational update just to make you aware of it. It's from back in July. The Connecticut DOT Department of Engineering received a complaint from a resident pertaining to the Route 63, Route 67 intersection modifications that they did more than a year ago when they changed the intersection and put the traffic light up. The 2 concerns that the resident voiced, one had to do with vehicles pulling off the roadside on Amity Road north of Seymour Road. So he said his sight was impeded as they exited from Casway Road. And the second concern was about the water runoff on Amity Road north of Route 67. The resident was looking to have the curb line extended and grass planted in there, and he thought that would alleviate both of the problems. The DOT said that their engineering study, they purposely didn't put the curb there because that's how the water drains off. And they're absolutely not going to extend the curb any further than that. They said that they would, if it was a problem with line of sight coming out of Casway Road, the resident could call the police and we'd have a record of it, and they could put up stop signs. But I don't think that was really the concern of the resident. I spoke to him and somebody that I do know, we discussed it, and if the problem continues, he'll let us know, and we'll go from there. But he addressed it with the state. But just so if you hear about it, we'll monitor it. We'll keep monitoring it. The next one was just a quick update on the Exit 59, Route 69 construction project down there. As you see, it's still going on, still ongoing. At the end of the last school year, some of the neighbors down there and the bus company voiced their concerns for the safety of the children in there, and especially the ones that have to cross out, the high school children have to cross out to Route 69. And when they did the construction, it required that they took the crosswalk signalization down, and actually with the milling and stuff, probably took the crosswalk right out of the street. And then the rumor started at the end of last year that they weren't going to put the crosswalks back, and there was never going to be crosswalks again when the project was done. So we reached out to the DOT then, and they said that's not the case, that the old crosswalks will go in, and furthermore, they're putting in an additional crosswalk upon completion of the project. And all that was hopefully thinking that it would be done in time for the new school year. And as you can see with the work down there, that's not the case, and they're still doing the site work and the milling and the paving. So the crosswalks have not yet been reinstalled. But working together, we heard some complaints. They reached out to town hall from some of the neighbors and the bus company, their concerns for safety when starting up the school year. But working together, myself and the public works director and the first selectman and Mr. Genovese and the town hall and the parents and the bus company, we were able to come up with some temporary solutions so
Like a
that kids
crossing
could
guard?
get picked up in there. I'm sorry?
Crossing guard, like something?
Well, we didn't yet. They were able to modify some temporary bus stops within the neighborhood there, so nobody will have to cross the
Good.
street. And
That's better.
hopefully when the construction is done, the crosswalks should be back up and I'll get back to normal with that. And the last thing I had was this Sunday is the annual JCC's 8th annual Murray Lender 5K road race. Starts at 9:30 in the morning. Their plan was to use the same route that they used in the past years, where they didn't go on any state roads and they just came up Shady Lane and Pease Road to Johnson to that intersection that Mrs. Pignataro was speaking about and back. And that was the plan. A little wrench got thrown into that. We just found out this week that that portion of that road is going to be repaved, so it's all been milled, or 3/4 of it probably has been remilled, so it's not safe for the runners. So I met with Scott Cohen from the JCC just this morning again, and they're trying to come up with a solution. And so what they're looking to do is to keep the walkers walking on Pease Road. They're going to have a different race route this year, and they want to come out Pease Road and cross over Center Road, North Pease, back onto Center, and then run through the center of town and back. So we told him we would be able to accommodate them with some extra personnel. He was amenable to that. As in the past, they've always been well-staffed and organized, and as long as the traffic authority is good with it, we'll go with, he actually is going to hire 4 extra duty officers in the vehicles for security on the grounds and on the road. And he's reached out to now he has to go to the state highway department, and it's short those a few days, but he reached out to them, and they'll get it all processed. They're just pending the traffic authority's approval to do so. So that's what he's seeking. I'm seeking on his behalf for tonight.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the JCC Murray Lender Bagel Run?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Still here, voting?
Oh,
Yes.
thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Run for
Since you hadn't
bagels.
left
I just mentioned if there's any way we can compromise on the 6:15 every once in a while,
And how often do you have your 7:30 meeting?
every month. But I don't want to be unfair.
Maybe we'll go every other?
Yeah.
Is that crazy, Nate? Oh, we already have the
That's tough
schedule.
we can't do that.
Schedule is set.
Then they have to be
For the next
special
I'm a
meetings.
pragmatic Republican.
We do, we love
Commissioner
you.
Falsino, are you running in that 5K?
I only go in 10 or above.
Good to know.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor, unanimous. Thank you,
All right.
folks.
And I just want to remind everybody, next month's meeting
Was on a,
is on the, no, it's on the 10th because of the holiday, so that's a Thursday evening. So anybody can't attend, just let me know.
6:15.
You know, 6:15.